Trump says he wants to federalize police in D.C., but here's the problem. The Constitution says Congress has to authorize that, not one man. Are we watching a crisis being used to grab power? Let me tell you something. When law enforcement appears lazy or fails to act in certain cities, that might not be an accident. That could be designed to create the very crisis that justifies federal takeover. D.C. is just the beginning. This blueprint could be applied to your city next. Are you ready to lose control of your local police?
A lot of people are wondering what's going on. They're not aware that our government is being taken over by a foreign enemy. I'm going to go ahead and show you what's going on. Check it out. Cheapskate, deep throating the deep state. Neat gate, kneeling down like neat gate. We hate when you tell us the lies. Looking dead in the eyes when you tell us the lies. We got the proof that every one of your frauds. Secret meetings in woods, worshiping other gods. It's just a matter of time till it's our time to shine. Until then we combine, brothers we all divine.
So Trump says he can federalize D.C. police with the stroke of a pen. But let me show you what the Constitution actually says about that. I want you to open up your Constitution if you have one. If you don't have one, you need to get one. Article 1, Section 8 gives Congress the power to exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever over the District of Columbia, not the president, Congress. That means every single law, every single rule, every single decision about D.C. has to go through Congress first. Now, let me tell you what that really means. The founding fathers wrote this on purpose. They didn't want one man making all the decisions. They split up the power between Congress and the president for a reason. The president can't just wake up one morning and say, hey, I think I want to take over the police. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works according to the Constitution. Now, here's what Article 1, Section 8 actually says. Congress has the power to exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever over such district. All cases whatsoever. That includes the police. That includes law enforcement. That includes everything. The president doesn't get to bypass Congress just because he feels like it. You know what happened when other presidents and other leaders tried to do this? They got shut down. The court said no. Congress said no. The Constitution said no. When presidents tried to grab power that doesn't belong to them, our system stopped them. That's how it's supposed to work. But here's what really worries me and concerns me. This isn't just about D.C. This is about setting a precedent. If a president can federalize police in D.C. without Congress, what stops him from doing it in your city? What stops him from doing it in Chicago? What stops him from doing it in Los Angeles? What stops him from doing it in Houston or Dallas or Miami or name a city? The answer is the 10th Amendment, okay? That amendment says powers not given to the federal government belong to the states. Police power traditionally belongs to local government. Your local sheriff, guess who he answers to? You, not to Washington. Your local police chief works for your mayor, not for some bureaucrat in D.C. The founding fathers understood this. They knew that when police become federal, they stop serving the people. They start serving whoever controls them in Washington. That's dangerous for every American family. That's dangerous for your kids. It's dangerous for your grandkids. It's dangerous for your community. Now, let me break this down really simple. The Constitution gives Congress control over D.C., not the president. I've got to reiterate it. If Trump wants to federalize D.C. police, he needed to go to Congress first. He needs to get a law passed. He needs to follow the Constitution like every other president before him. And this matters for every city in America. Why? Because if we let presidents ignore the Constitution in D.C., they'll ignore it everywhere else too. You see, your local police could be next. Your sheriff could be next. Your whole community could lose local control. That's what this is about. See, the Constitution protects your right to local law enforcement. The 10th Amendment guarantees it. When federal government takes over local police, you lose your voice. You lose your vote. You lose your control over the people who are supposed to protect and serve you. So folks, right away, you know that this is not about politics. It's not about being Republican or Democrat. This is about the Constitution. This is about the law. This is about protecting your rights and your family's rights from government overreach. The Constitution is crystal clear on this issue. No president can federalize police without congressional approval. That's the law. That's been the law since 1787. That needs to stay the law if we want to keep our freedoms. Congress has exclusive authority over D.C. The president has to work through Congress. The separation of powers exists to protect you. When presidents try to bypass Congress, they're not just breaking the law, they're threatening your liberty. But here's what's really scary. Some people, they might be creating the very crisis that makes federalization look necessary. So then the question becomes, well, is this a deliberate breakdown of local law enforcement? Well, what if I told you that the crime and the chaos you see in certain cities is not happening by accident, but by design? I want you to think about this for just a minute. Look at what's happening in D.C. Look at what's happening in Portland. Look at what's happening in Seattle. Look at what's happening in San Francisco. Are you telling me, with all those smart people there, that all these problems just happened at the same time? Is that how the world works? Let me tell you what I see. Folks, I see a pattern. The same pattern happening in city after city. Police effectiveness goes down. Crime goes up. People get scared. Then somebody comes along and says, we need federal help. We need Washington to take over. That's not a coincidence. That's a plan. The fireman is the arsonist. You see, here's how it works. First, prosecutors stop prosecuting crimes. They let criminals walk free. They refuse to charge people who should be charged. They drop cases that should go to trial. The criminals figure this out real quick. They know they won't face any consequences. They commit more crimes. Second, police departments get ordered to stand down. They're told not to enforce certain laws. They're told to just let things slide. They're told to back off when they should be moving in. The police know they can't do their jobs properly, but they have to follow orders from above. Some would say from below. Third, crime statistics get hidden from you. The numbers get changed. The reports get delayed. The truth gets covered up. You can't see how bad things really are because the people in charge don't want you to know. They want you to think everything is fine until it's too late. Now let me tell you who's behind this. Look at the district attorneys in these failing cities. Look at where their campaign money comes from. Look at who funded their elections. You'll find the same names over and over and over again. The same groups, the same organizations, the same people who want to change how law enforcement works in America. These district attorneys didn't just decide on their own to stop prosecuting crimes. They were funded by groups that promote these policies, groups that want to weaken local law enforcement, groups that hate America, groups that believe traditional policing is the problem. So they put their people in office to make the changes they want. At the same time, police budgets get cut, departments lose funding, officers leave the force, good officers. Training programs get reduced. Equipment gets outdated. Departments can't hire enough officers to cover up their areas. Crime goes up because there aren't enough police to handle it. This creates what they call a perfect storm. Prosecutors who won't prosecute. Police can't do their jobs. Budgets get cut. Crime rises. People get scared. Communities fall apart. Local law enforcement look like it's failing completely. Well, then the media comes in. They show you the chaos. They show you the crime. They show you the fear. But they don't tell you about the policies that created this mess. They don't explain how prosecutors refuse to prosecute. They don't mention the orders to stand down. They don't talk about the budget cuts. The media amplifies the crisis while hiding the real causes. They make it look like local police just can't handle the job anymore. They make it seem like local government has failed. They make you think federal control is the only answer. But I want you to understand something, please. This pattern repeats itself over and over. Crisis gets created. Local authorities, they look incompetent. Federal government offers to help. And people accept federal control because they're desperate. Local control disappears forever. This isn't incompetence you're seeing, folks. This isn't bad luck. This isn't just cities having problems. This is a deliberate strategy to make local police look like failures so federal control looks like the solution. When local law enforcement appears to fail, people cry out for someone else to fix it. The chaos is the point. The failure is the goal. The crisis justifies the takeover. Local police get blamed for problems they didn't create and can't solve because of policies forced on them from their leadership. And this strategy follows a very specific playbook that's been used before. Have you ever heard of the 7-step blueprint to nationalize your police? Oh, absolutely. See, there's a 7-step blueprint, a 7-step process being used right now to take control of your local police. And most people don't even see it happening. But I want you to understand this blueprint. I want you to see how it works, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And you'll recognize it happening in your own community. Step 1 is crisis. Something bad happens, something scary, something that makes people afraid. Step 2 is aid. The federal government offers to help. They say they have the answer. They say they can fix the problem. Step 3 is legislation. New laws get passed. New rules get made. New powers get created. Step 4 is propaganda. The media tells you this is good. They tell you this will keep you safe. They tell you to support it. Step 5 is indoctrination. Your local police gets trained by federal agents. They learn federal priorities. They start thinking like federal officers. Step 6, implementation. Federal standards get put in place. Federal oversight begins. Federal control starts. Step 7 is nationalization. Your local police becomes the Gestapo, the federal police. Your community loses control forever. Let me show you how this worked before. You do remember September 11th? That was the crisis. People were scared. People were angry. People wanted protection. So what happened? The federal government swooped in and said, we need a new department. We need Homeland Security. We need to centralize everything. Congress passed the laws. The media supported it. Local police departments started working with federal agencies. Federal training began. Federal standards got implemented. Local police became a part of a national system. Now, look at Ferguson. Do you remember that? The riots were the crisis. People saw the chaos. People demanded change. The federal government said local police needs oversight. They need federal guidance. They need national standards. The Justice Department stepped in. They created consent decrees. They forced local departments to follow federal rules. Local control got replaced by federal mandates. Now here's how the aid works. Your local police department needs money, right? Nothing wrong with that. The federal government offers grants, but the money comes with strings attached. Your police have to attend federal training programs. They have to file federal reports. They have to follow federal guidelines. They have to meet federal standards. The money looks free, but it's not. It comes with control. Fusion centers are part of this system. These centers share federal intelligence with local police. They tell your local officers what to focus on. They set the priorities. They decide what matters. Your local police start working on federal cases instead of local problems. They start thinking like federal agents instead of community officers. You see, the 21st Century Policing Initiative created national standards for every police department in America. Local departments had to change their policies. They had to change their training. They had to change how they operate. These weren't suggestions. And local police officers, tell me if I'm wrong. These were requirements if they wanted federal funding. The COPS program, COPS program, has spent $14 billion reshaping local policing. That money bought compliance with federal guidelines. Departments that took the money had to follow federal rules. They had to adopt federal practices. They had to submit to federal oversight. Local police chiefs answer to federal bureaucrats right now instead of local mayors. Every crisis creates more federal control. Every problem becomes a reason for more federal involvement. Every failure of local government becomes justification for federal takeover. Your local police lose independence. Your community loses the voice. Your constitutional protections disappear. The September 11th attacks gave us the department, a whole department of Homeland Security. The Ferguson riots gave us federal oversight of police departments. The next crisis, if we don't stop it, will give them even more power. Each step takes you further away from local control and closer to national police. This blueprint has been working for 20 years, but it's coming to an end. Most Americans don't realize their local police already answer to federal authorities in many ways. The training's federal, the funding is federal, the standards are federal, the priorities are federal. What's left that's actually local? Your local police chief still has a local title. Your sheriff still gets elected locally, but they operate within a federal system now. They follow federal guidelines. They report to federal agencies. They serve federal priorities first. At least some of them do. This blueprint has been successfully used to federalize police powers without most Americans even knowing that it's actually happening. The process is slow. The changes are gradual. The takeover happens piece by piece until nothing local remains. So when we see talk of federalizing D.C. police, when we're looking at the final step of actually a much larger plan. Folks, let me tell you something. I want to tell you the truth. D.C. federalization is not the end goal. It's the test case for nationalizing police in every American city. Your city could be next. Your freedom could be next. And I want you to get involved in your local government. Folks, you've got to support your local police. Keep them independent. Resist federal control when it comes to your community. Go to city council meetings. Talk to your sheriff. Make your voice heard. We have some links in the description below where you can actually keep tabs on your city council. Listen, folks, the Constitution gave you local control for a reason. Don't let a manufactured crisis take that away from you and your children. Now, don't be discouraged. This is a fight that we will win. So if you have any more questions, don't hesitate. Tap and join us. It's the first link in the description link. We need you, and God bless you.